Now, you know you cannot come to a Milken event without a quiz. You know, you would be uncomfortable from that standpoint. So at your desk was testing your alternative energy IQ. And so we're operating on the honor system here. The first question is, what country produces the most electricity in absolute terms from renewable sources? Iceland, Norway, US, China. How many think it's Iceland? Raise your hand. Okay, just Frank Baxter and Sarah Sandler. Okay. All right, how many think it's Norway? Linda Resnick leads that team, and Bob Barth, okay. A few other votes. How many think it's the United States? Scott, you've got quite a following here. And how many think it's China? A small sampling. Okay, so Scott, what do you think the answer is that's the correct answer there?
Well, Mike, I think it's the United States, just because of all the investment we've made in renewable energy over the last decade or so.
It is, but if you've ever seen the 405, you always wonder what year they're going to get it done. That's why it's China. Okay, what they can build in a year takes us 3 or 4 years. So it's China. What country gets the largest percentage of its electricity from renewable sources? This is now largest percentage. Iceland, Norway, Paraguay, if you've ever seen Iguazu Falls, or the United States. How many think it's Iceland? You got quite a following. Are you going to vote for Iceland on every question?
Every time.
Eventually you'll get it right. Okay. How many think it's Norway?
I would have thought it was Norway.
You? Paraguay? Even when I told you about Iguazu Falls? And how many think it's the United States? The correct answer, 1 in the United States. Now, that would be pretty hard to do for the United States. But the correct answer to that one is, led by Frank Baxter, Iceland. Okay. They get actually almost a very large percent, almost 100% of their energy from geothermal in Iceland. Okay, 3. Last year, what was the biggest source of new generating capacity in the United States? So we're only talking now about 2012. What was the biggest change in additional capacity in the U.S.? Natural gas, wind, nuclear, or solar? How many think it's natural gas? How many think it's wind? Not too many. Okay. How many think it's nuclear? Got a lot of those nuclear plants opening up here. And how many think it's solar? A few. The correct answer is solar. No, the correct answer to that one is wind.
Wow. Really?
Okay. Wind power was the largest source of new capacity for the first time in the United States. First time in the United States. Lastly, wind farms have roughly the same generating capacity on paper as the entire power sector in which countries? Luxembourg. Does anyone want to vote for Luxembourg? Okay. That's, you have to go a long way to top Luxembourg's power. Spain, France, Australia. Correct answer by the group, very good, is Australia. And also we gave you this excellent report that you have from the Wall Street Journal earlier this year on the 6 myths of renewable energy. And the answer on wind was surprising, but when you read that, you'll see that U.S. wind farms, in global terms, produce the equivalent of 47% of all the electricity in Mexico on a comparable basis, 26% of France, 62% of Australia, 64% of Turkey. And so it runs through these areas.